the basic component life cycle. So we discussed about various phases and in every phase what actions are performed. Now after understanding that today, why we learned the component life cycle, because we need to understand how component loads. We should understand the concept about how the re-render works. Some more points are there. After understanding this, I will explain that. Actually, in a later stage, I will show you. We have a concept called reconciliation. React reconciliation. Reconciliation is nothing but we said that every time the render will happen after creation render, after mount render, after update render. How render happens? I hope you people learnt in HTML, you know the flow. What is HTML flow? In HTML, how it is presented. So in HTML, how it is presented, uh, this is the flow in HTML. In general HTML classes, you learn this. Say, yeah, this is the basic HTML flow. You already know this. Huh? Developers will write markup. Markup is converted into bytes. Bytes are converted to characters. Characters into tokens. So the DOM is rendered and it is painted here. But we discussed that React uses virtual DOM. That means what will happen? Virtual DOM will verify actual DOM. If virtual DOM and actual DOM both are same, that means there is no change. Then no need to update. If actual DOM is not like virtual DOM, that means there is some change. Then what should happen? We have to update into the actual DOM. When actual DOM is updated, when there is a change detected, when there is any change detected between virtual DOM and actual DOM, then the virtual DOM content will be updated into actual. So how it verifies that there is change? By using a mechanism called diff mechanism. Diff mechanism is nothing but it verifies the actual DOM with virtual DOM. Both are matching, means no change. If the not matching, some change, then that change will be updated. This I will show you later in diff mechanism how works. I will show you later in state concept. I will learn. Actual every component will be rendered so many times. I practically showed you. To avoid re-rendering, I showed one concept called memo. You have seen that option I showed you, but detailedly we will see now. We are going to learn. So after understanding the flow, today we are going to learn about React hooks. We are going to see React hooks. This is one major topic in React, but already 50% we are aware of it. But technically perfect, step by step, we should know about it. Already so many days we use different types of hooks in all our classes. Examples. First point is, what is a hook in React and what is its concept? Actually, technically, So hook is a service in React. Actually, hook is a service in React. Hook is a service. Actual, what is service concept is, I will tell you one simple point. So, what is the service concept? See, for example, here, generally, we have some application. In this application, so yeah, we have an application, and in this application, we want to use some functionality. That means this application requires some values or some functions. We want to use them. Actual, what happens is we have value and the functions. We have values and functions. We want to use these values and functions in our application. We don't prefer directly using these values and functions. We don't directly use them in application. Why? Because reusability, separation issues will come. That's the reason in real time project development, usually what happens is our developers will build a factory. In software programming, factory means a collection of values and functions. That means a set of values and functions are kept in a factory. A set of values and functions are kept in a factory. We have a factory. So set of values and functions are kept in factory. And this factory also we don't recommend to use directly. Why we don't recommend to use the factory? I want to use functions. I want to use some values, and all values and functions are present in a factory. For example, in your JavaScript or Java or .NET, you have a string factory. String factory has string functions. Math factory have math functions. So array factory have array functions. Date factory have date functions. All related type of functions are kept in a factory. We cannot use the factory directly in our project. We cannot use the factory directly in our project. Why we cannot use them directly? Because factory uses a mechanism called single call. It uses a single call mechanism. Single call mechanism means I want an object, I want a function to use. So if you want a function, then an object is created. Through that object, you can access the function and you can use the function. After that, you finish it, the object is deleted. You want again the same function, then again you need to create an object. That means every time an object is created to use a function. This mechanism is called as what? Single call. That's the reason if I want to use a function 10 times, I need to create 10 objects. That's not great. That is the reason what our developers do is our developers will build instead of factory by accessing the factories, our developers will build a service. our developers build a service. A service in software programming is a set of factories. A set of factories are kept in a service. That means a set of libraries are kept in one service. So technically, service is a predefined business logic. Already functions and values are created and they are present. We have to just use them. Without rewriting, we can just use. It enables reusability, easy extensibility, separation, testability, everything will improve. Why we prefer using service? Because service specialty is service uses a singleton mechanism. It will use a singleton mechanism. I hope you people know, if you are learning any OOP languages, you know singleton pattern. What is singleton? In object oriented programming languages, what is singleton? Singleton is a mechanism where a class can have only one object. That means you can design a class in such a way that only one instance is created and the same instance is used any number of times. Single call means every time an object is created. Singleton means object is created on the first request and the same object will be used across any number of requests. That is single call and singleton. Actually, services use singleton, but we will not use services also directly. Actually, in real time projects, everything is a service based majority. Suppose if anyone asks you, like, design a login form and avoid spam, design a login form and avoid spam. Spam means robots and suspicious content cannot log in. Then what to do? How you avoid spam from registering, from login? We use CAPTCHA. I hope you people know every login register have a CAPTCHA. If anyone asks what is CAPTCHA, so any technical person answer will be CAPTCHA is a service. CAPTCHA is a service used to prevent spam. That means it is used to prevent robots from logging into our website. It will verify whether the user is a human or a robot, and it will prevent access for robots. So if anybody asked you, like, do you know how to write code for CAPTCHA? That means it is a wrong question, because CAPTCHA is not a code, it is a service. It is an artificial intelligence program used to verify whether the user is a human or robot based on his keystrokes, based on mouse movements. It will verify. So CAPTCHA is not a code, it is a service. For example, you see, we have like Google reCAPTCHA. You can see this is Google reCAPTCHA, and see what Google reCAPTCHA do. What these people tell. They say that reCAPTCHA is a free service. It is a free service. What is meant by service in software programming? In software programming, service means it is already built, you just use it. You just customize according to your requirements. That means it is already built. You just customize according to your requirements. That is the nature of service. Not only that, for example, you are designing a website. In that website, user must log in, then only we can provide access. But to log in, first user must register. User is not interested in registering, then we will not give him access. So user is not interested in registering. We don't want anybody to access our resource without login. Then what is alternative? We can say that, okay, don't register in my website. Use your Gmail to login. Understood? In my website, you use your Gmail account and you can log in. You don't need to register. Then how you will get his information? Because he uses Gmail login, we access his Google contact and we will use that in our website. If anyone asks you, what is this known as? Enabling Google login in a website. What is this known as? It is called as OpenID service. It is a OpenID service. OpenID service means OpenID service means you create a page. In that you give a login option where user can log in with Google account. Will you verify his Google account? No. We will send his Google account to Google. Google will verify and tell us saying that this is a valid Gmail. Then we can access his Google data and we can allow him login. That is we call as Open ID. CAPTCHA is a service. OpenID is a service. What else you see regularly services more in websites? Any other? So many are there. Map is a service. So you want to show map, we want to use the maps. Then Rapido, Zomato, all these people are using maps. What they are doing? They have any satellite by their own? No. Then how they can show map? That means they are buying from others. They are using their services. So technically in software development, majority of things are done through services. And React also built a lot of services which it calls as hooks. That means hooks are services already built with so much logic. You are just using them. You are using them. So technically, what is the concept of a service? This is very important. Hook is important here. In our React projects, we don't use services in application directly. What we do, what we generally do is, actually service means, suppose you see, these are different services we are having. Let's say different services. Okay, we have 2-3 services for different purpose. Different services are present. We have some services. Now what is the concept is, you are having so many services. Generally, I want to use that service in my app. This service I want to use in my application. We don't directly use the service. What we do, we inject the service into a component. Am I right? That means actually what we are having in our React application. In React application, we are having a component. We are having a component. Into that component, what we do, we inject the service. Into that component, we inject the service. That means which service we want, we can inject that service. So that means I want only this service. I will inject that service. I want only this service. So I want to use only this service. We will inject only that service. And what we do, we use these components in our project. In our application, we are using these components. That is how a React application is using functions. That means directly some functions you are writing, some functionality directly you are writing, but several functionalities you are bringing from a service. And these services in React, you can call them as these services in React, you can call them as, we can call them as hooks. We can call these services as hooks. Use context, use state, use memo, all these are what? Use effects. They are all services. Already they are designed with some functionality. You are using. That is the reason the word use. What is the meaning of the word use? You are not creating, you are using. Are you creating a state? No. State is already created. You are using it. Are you using a context? Can you use a context? You can't use until you create a context, right? Route outlet is having a context. We can use it. How? By using use. So technically, this is the nature actually. That's how every library works like this. That means in real time project development, our developers will build the services and give the services to designers. That means in software technologies, you have architects and you have developer. What is the role of architect? He is responsible for building whatever required to build an app. And what is your job? Use that library and build an app. Are you building the library? Sometimes we are responsible for building few libraries, but majority libraries are built for us. Library is built and given to us. We will just use. We will use the libraries and we build an application. So technically, what is a hook? It is a service. What is service? Service is a predefined business logic. Service is a predefined business logic which you can customize and implement according to the requirements. Service is a predefined business logic which you can customize and implement according to the requirements. Actually, so service is built with a factory of values and functions. Is factory of values and functions. And every service enables reusability, extensibility, separation, maintainability, testability. It enables reusability, extensibility, separation, maintainability, and testability. So each service comprises of consumer, provider, injector, subscriber, etc. All these are the components. Service consumer, service provider, service injector, subscribers, all these are the concepts of service. One main advantage for latest generation learners is you don't need to learn all these. Earlier we used to do that. That means earlier when we train people on web technologies, on concepts like Knockout JS, Angular JS, and all old, we used to teach them how to use a consumer, provider, dependency injections so much. But now you don't need to do all these things. They are all built. You just use them. Earlier, we need to train our developers how to use them. Consumer, provider, injectors. Now, what is point is advanced technologies. What they are doing, they are already building this. Just giving one service. You just use them. You don't need to even know about how injector injects the service, how subscriber will use. Already I told you event, if you remember. What is event? It subscribes. That means how it knows from where the data should come, how it knows what data it should use. That's because of subscribing, provider, injector, and all. You remembered you used a cookie provider. What is a provider? Cookie is a service. React cookie is a service. What is the role of provider in a service? Consumer uses the service. Provider will locate the service and inject that into your application. That means if anyone asks, what is cookie provider? What is route provider? Right? If anyone asks what is cookie and route provider, you have done in your project now. You see, in our to-do application, in this application, in main.jsx file, you are using cookie provider, route provider. If you are using provider means they are services. I already given in the note also. What is routing? What is routing? Thinking, huh? What is routing? I told you that routing is a service. Right? In the definition itself, we have seen that routing is a service. Right? And every service will have a provider. Every service have a provider. What if anyone asks in interview, what is cookie provider role? The role of cookie provider is locating the cookie in memory, finding whether the name cookie available or not, and injecting into your app. That is the role of a provider. Provider locates the value and injects into your consumer, gives to consumer. Consumer will use it. What is route provider? Route provider will verify whether the given route is present in the route table. If it is available in the route table, it will deliver. That means every service have a provider, consumer, injector, so many internally. Right? So no need to go into that, but it's very complicated. I will just show you. Go to definition. This is route provider. This route provider. So this route provider is using it is a JSX element. It is using some route provider properties. So when I go to the route provider properties, go to definition, you see route provider is coming from props 1. And remember, in software programming, wherever you see the dollar in any name, it means that it is a library. Dollar is used for libraries. That's a common naming convention actually. Go to definition, it will see it is a interface. It is having a router. Router is coming from a router library. It is coming from a router library. That means they are built with a lot of functionality already. You are just injecting and using it. That means you are not building the routes, you are just using the routes. That is actually the concept. What this provider will do, it uses a mechanism called dependency injection. It will look for all the dependencies and it will inject them and it will make them work. That means if anyone asks, what is the mechanism used behind a service, how a service works in your app, it uses a mechanism called dependency injection. Every service background pattern is dependency injection. So actually, so what is the concept here is, as I told you, service uses singleton pattern. Service uses singleton pattern. It uses a dependency injection mechanism. It uses a dependency injection mechanism. These are all some important points for interviews for experienced people, because for experienced people, they ask which design pattern it uses. If you say that actually, what if you ask anybody what is a hook, they will ask like they will say that hook is a function. Hook is a function. Then they will ask you a question. If it is a function, why can't you directly use a function? Why you are designing it as a hook? Right? Functions you can directly use. You can directly import. Can we import functions and use them? Yes. We can import a function and use them. Then why you designed specially like a hook? Because it is not just a function, it is a service. It is a service. So technically, so React hooks are designed as functions. React hooks are designed as functions. React hooks are designed as functions. So you can create custom hooks, and you can create custom hooks or use built-in hooks. That means we can build our own hooks or we can use existing hooks. This is one major point about React. For example, you anybody asks like, tell me some React hooks. If you say use Formic, he is not satisfied. He says that it's not a React hook, but it is a hook, right? It is a hook. Use Formic is a hook. Use cookies is a hook. But if you tell use Formic, use cookies, use form, he is not satisfied. He says that they are not React hooks. If they are not React hooks, what they are? They are custom hooks. They are hooks, but not built-in hooks of React. They are built by somebody for their requirement. That means in real-time projects, you will see so many hooks your company people are using. And you will get a confusion like, I haven't learned all these hooks. And you will Google, right? What is this hook? Then you will not find any answer for that. Why? Because it's not a globally known hook. It is built by them for their purpose. Nobody other knows about it. That's the reason if interviewer has to ask any question, he can ask you for built-in hooks. And he can even ask you like, okay, my requirement is this. I want to use this regularly. For this, you build one hook. So you must able to build custom hooks. Let's see how we can do. What are the rules and how to do that? So first we will see how to deal with custom hooks. How to work with custom hooks. So what are the rules for handling and working with the hooks? First rule is hook must be a JavaScript function. Hook must be a JavaScript function. It must be a JavaScript function. So you can create as expression or using declaration. You can create as expression or using declaration. You know that in JavaScript function can be written as expression or declaration. What is difference? We prefer using declaration very much because declaration allows hoisting. Expression will not allow hoisting. That means a function can be written as expression or declaration. Expression also works, declaration also works, but declaration allows hoisting. Expression will not allow hoisting. For example, suppose we are having a var, so function f1 is equal to function. This is expression. What is the problem with expression is suppose document dot write hello something. If I try to use that function f1, actually you learned in JavaScript var allows hoisting. Var allows hoisting. That means you can use it above, you can declare later. Var allows hoisting, but it will not allow hoisting of a function. This is called hoisting. Hoisting means you are trying to use before it is created. So actually, hoisting is supported by var, but now it will not support. You can see it will show an error. And error, it says that so f1 is not a function. F1 is already a function, but why it is showing that? Because you are trying to use above, it never finds it. You use below. Now okay, now it will works. What is advantage of another one? What is it? Instead of expression, we will use declaration. What is speciality of declaration? Declaration allows hoisting. That means I am trying to call above. I am trying to call above, and you can see it is working fine, no problem. That means if you think that a function should be used in a specific order, that means you cannot use before this. You should use only after specific state. Then better you create as what? Expression. Because expression will not allow to hoist. You have to use in order. Declaration will allow to hoist. That is basic in JavaScript, you know. JavaScript functions allow hoisting. So you can write expression as expression or declaration. Which one is recommended? Declaration. Declaration is recommended as it supports hoisting. So as it supports hoisting. And very important is hook name must start with lowercase and recommended to define in camel case. And every hook name must start with use prefix. That is mandatory now. Every hook name must start with use prefix. It should start with use. Earlier we don't have restriction, but now several versions React, they started restricting. Hook is not recognized as a hook if it is not using the prefix use word. It is mandatory that it should use that use word. Another important is hook function cannot be void type. It must return a value or function. You know that a function can return a function. Hook function cannot be void type. It must return something. It should return either a value or a function. Hook function cannot be void type. It can be parameterized or parameterless. It can be parameterized or parameterless, with parameters or without parameters. No problem. Parameterized or parameterless. Right. And you know that if it is parameterized, every parameter is mandatory. You cannot have optional parameters. You know, JavaScript will not support optional parameters, but some technologies support optional parameters. Later, if you learn TypeScript, in TypeScript, you have optional parameters. But in JavaScript, we can't have optional parameters. So every parameter is a required parameter. Every parameter is a required parameter. So that is parameter. And important, React custom hook can use other built-in hooks. It can use other built-in hooks. Inside a custom hook, you can use other built-in hooks. So another point is hook can be used in higher higher scope, in higher scope. Hook can be used in higher scope only. So you cannot use in any block. It can be used in higher scope only. That means what? For example, use effect is there. In this, what you are doing, in this use effect hook, suppose you are trying to define constant, so some name, so is equal to use state. This is invalid. This is invalid. Suppose you are writing, so here function handle click. On click, what we are doing, let params is equal to use params. Like this you are using, so use params. This is invalid. You cannot have this. That means hooks cannot be used in any block. They must be used outside only. You cannot use them inside any block. They must be used outside. Only outside. That means in the function main higher scope only you have to use them. Higher scope only. So these all rules we have to follow while working with the hooks. These rules are important. So let's see how. And general sense is that any custom hook name should not match with a built-in hook name. That will always create problem, right? That means whenever you give a custom hook name, better not to give a name which is already taken by built-in hooks. That's general thing. Okay, let's create one simple hook and see how to use it. For example, in our login screen, so let's use this npm run API and npm run dev. Okay. Suppose in this, what we want to do is, in a login screen, just roughly, I want some captcha here. Not real captcha. We want to just generate one random code. Every time a new code should come. Just simple. What we will do first, we will go to src and here we will add a new folder hooks. Into the hooks folder, we are adding a new use captcha.jsx and export function use captcha, that is a hook. And according to the hook rules, it should start with prefix use. It should be in camel case and it cannot be void. It must return. Suppose let's say constant code is equal to, I will use here I will use math dot round, math dot random, so into 10, like this we are using. This is one number. I am using 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a 6-digit number. And what it should do, return, it should return code. That's it. I created a simple one. That means what is the purpose of this use captcha? It returns a 6-digit random number. Math.random in JavaScript returns a random number. Usually in JavaScript, random number starts with 0.7. So multiplied by 10 will give a positive number every time. like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. And because sometimes it may return fractions, I will round to the nearest dot round. And like that, 5 digits, 6 digit number in a string form, and it is returning. So just what we want to do, go to the login. In the components, go to login. In the login, here we put a data term. So here verify code, just roughly data definition. And I want a code here. So what you do, you have to import captcha, use captcha. Use captcha is a hook. And what this hook will do, let, it will return a code. Use captcha is going to return a code. And what we have to do, we need to put the code here. That means we will just put the code here. That's it. And you can see that it is going to get a code there. It is going to get a code. And whenever I reload, it will get a new code. That means on every render, it will get a new code. And just keeping the code. So that means now I want this in registration form, change password, right? Forget password. Then every time I don't need to write this logic. Already logic is written, just import the hook and use it. That means every time to get this random code, I need to write a lengthy logic. But now I don't need to do that. Just what you do, you just import and you just use it. That means it only 2 lines everywhere. Na? What you have to do, just let code use captcha. Code is ready. Wherever you want, you use it. You can import in any component. You can use in any component. So reusability, extensibility means what? You make change in the hook, it will affect everywhere. It is going to change every place. It's a general small concept. Now in interviews, what they do, they ask like, create a hook for searching, create a hook for sorting, create a hook for pagination. I want a pagination. Pagination is required everywhere where we display a table. Per page 5 records, per page 10 records. Then designing is difficult every time. Then we can design as a hook and we can use it. For example, means just roughly one more I will show here. Suppose every time to fetch data and use data, I need to use lot of Axios. Lot of Axios requests is required to handle the data. So see what I will do temporarily. What I am going to do, go to this one. I will copy this example. So I will copy this example. What we have done in src hooks folder, use captcha.jsx. That's the rough code. And in components, we have login.jsx. Just roughly, I will copy that code. Actually, it's lot of code. Just roughly, I will use it. This is just point. Now, everywhere, I need lot of AJAX requests. Then every time writing this much lengthy Axios, instead of that, you can do one thing. Let's go to the hooks, and I will use here a new hook called use API data.jsx. Use API data. I will create a hook now. So export function use API data. That is a hook we are creating. What it should do is it should get me and return me the data of any API. From any API, you just pass URL, it should get me the data and show the data. So what we will do now, So this is expecting an URL. That means whenever you want to fetch data from any API, obviously you need a URL. So we are designing one URL. Okay. Now what this URL has to do means we need to fetch the data. And see, in this hook, you can use built-in hooks. Like what? We have constant data, and what set data is equal to use state. We are using an empty array. Roughly, I am giving. Next, what I am using an Axios. Here I am using use effect inside. Use effect is nothing but at the time of mount as a side effect, what it will do here, it should use Axios dot get from where URL dot then, and it will what it will do set data response dot data. Sorry, this then then uses a callback, na? Yeah. So then uses a response, yeah. And what it should do, set data response dot what data. And what we will do is it will return the data. And whenever URL changes, it should fetch the new details. That means dependency is URL. That means what you are doing, you are creating one hook in such a way that it can access the data and show. Right? It can get the data and display the data. And every time, if I want to fetch data from any URL, see what I will do. Suppose just let's go to home page. Yeah. In home page, roughly somewhere I will put a div. Here I want to get and display some users, user IDs. Roughly, I am just using. Then what we have to do, constant. So what we need to do, we have to get users. How to get the users? You don't need to write any Axios or anything. You have a hook called use API data. And into that, you pass the URL. What is the URL? http colon double slash 127.0.0.1 colon 3000 slash what? Users. That's it. Now I want to use the users here. Then what I will do? Users dot map read every user and print a div for every user. Just roughly I am using. And here I want to print user dot user ID. Every user have a user ID now. That means what it is going to do in the home page, it is printing the users there. David, NIT, John 1, 2. That means just roughly I'm showing in this screen. It's not required here. Right? That means wherever you want to handle the data, then you don't need to write entire logic anymore. Just what you do, use API data, in that pass the URL and capture the result. So every time you don't need to create one state, you don't need to use Axios. So you have ready-made, just it is using the functionality. That means it can handle the actions easily. So this is another example. I will copy this example. This is example, suppose use API data. Dot what? Use API data.jsx. It is in same src hooks use API data.src. I will just copy this. Yeah. This is an example that makes you understand how we can use it. Right? Just roughly I created that anywhere in any component .jsx. What we do? Suppose let data is equal to use API data, and you have to pass your API URL. Whatever API URL is there, you have to write. It is going to fetch that and display. Now in our project, what is the requirement. In our project, we can use in different places. First thing, I want to use a custom hook for searching appointments. I want to use a custom hook for searching appointments. Then how to do that? Let's see. That's a little lengthy, complex task here. I will show the flow and we will implement later how it works, right? First point here in home. Let's remove this now. This is temporary, not required. Okay. Now see, what is our concept? User will log in. Oh, invalid password. What is the password? David 11. Now what should happen is here search appointments should able to display only the appointments that we want. It should able to display only the appointments, and searching appointments is a very common thing for us. So that means whatever data they entered, after that when they click, it should return only the appointments that are matching with it. And the searching is something we want to implement everywhere. Searching, filtering, sorting, like actions. It's a very common task and we need everywhere. Then everywhere we don't need to build it. We can just use it. There is no hook for such searching. There is no hook for that. We can build such hooks, custom hooks. Let's first try on temporary data. Then we will try on this application, right? So because directly on application complicated, it becomes very complex. I will show. Let's do. I will add one component called search demo. Better, I will not use this project. Okay. I will use this project. In this, I'm adding a new file. Let's add one file. Okay. So here we will add one file, one component. Search demo. Okay. Search demo.jsx. Export function search demo. Okay. And it should return some data. So this is search. We have a div. So input type is text. Okay, that's enough. Placeholder, right? Search data. Okay. Now what should happen below? We will have an unordered list. In that we will put some data. That means what we will do constant. So topics is equal to use state. Some topics are there. HTML projects, CSS tutorial, HTML tutorial, like this. So React projects and HTML examples, something. Now this data we are displaying there. So topics dot map, topics, why it is string? I just given as a string, array of string. Oh, fine. So topics dot map, read every topic, and for every topic we'll print a li. Key is topic and value also topic. Okay, now I will run this. I will keep search demo. Fine. Now, what is our requirement is in this search demo container. Fine. Now, when I am typing HTML, only HTML topic should come. So when I type projects, only project should come. Right? That is the requirement. If you can handle this logic, then you can implement in project. First, this basic is required. If you have done such things in JavaScript, you know how do we search. Right? In JavaScript, if you have done such things, then you know how to search, how we can handle the search. Right? Now see the point. What we need to do is, first, we in general searching is different and we need to create a hook now. What is the hook? So what hook has to do is, this is your data and this is your search string. It should take the search string, it should take the data, and it should verify whether the search string is inside the data. If search string is inside the data, what it should do? It should display only the data that matches that search string. So now what a search hook is expecting, I will add a new folder here by name hooks. Okay. In that we will say use search. Use search.jsx. It is a hook. So export function use search is a hook. Now tell me what are the parameters expected. Two parameters. One is it is expecting search string and it is expecting data. Na? So that means we need to pass two details. One is search string and we need to use the data. Okay. Now we need a constant result. Okay. How to get the result and display that? That means result is nothing but filtered data. Filtered data. How to get the filtered data? What we have to do in the data, we need to check whether this string is there or not. How? This data is an array. In the array, how you will find whether the matching value is present or not? What you can do? For example, I'm using filter. Data have a filter na? What filter will do? Will return all matching data. Find will return only one, filter will return all. Okay, filter. So filter requires the record. It is reading every record. That means it is reading every item. Huh? Now what should happen? Every item we need to check, is it includes? Every item, actually every item you can convert to what? To lowercase. You can convert to lowercase. After that you can verify it includes. Understood? After that you can verify it includes. What includes? It includes the search string. Search string dot to lowercase. That means whatever data is present, convert to lowercase. Whatever search string is present, convert to lowercase. Compare both in same case. That means what it is doing, it is reading every item. Every item is a string. In the string, it is converting all the sentence to lowercase. It is checking whether the string includes the word that you type. If it includes the word that you typed, then it will return only the data. Now what we have to do? We have to return the filtered data. Na? Because what is the nature of a hook? Hook should return value. That means all the filtered data will come. That means what is the result of this hook? It returns an array. That array contains filtered details. It returns an array that contains filtered details. Now, how do we manage this now? How to use this in this application? This is the hook ready, which is filtering the data. How to use that here? So first, what we need to do, we need to write a function. So handle search change. Am I right? On search change, we need to collect E. E gets the event argument. Na? That means what we have to do here on change. So that is handle search change. We are collecting. What we will do is we will collect a constant str is str and set str set string is equal to use state and it is an empty string and we will set string here set str is equal to e dot target dot value. Get the value and store it. Now what is the condition now? Such string is ready na? Next what we have to do? LET filtered data. Understood? Filtered data. LET filtered data. Filtered underscore data something is equal to we have to use search hook. Into the use search hook, what is the data we need to pass? One is search string. Search string is str na? Such string is str. What else? Data. Data is what? Topics. Data is topics. That means now the result is in filtered data. Na? This filtered data we have to use here. That means we should not read all the topics. We should read only filtered data. One more concept is there. Logical conditions should be there. That means if no string is entered, string is empty, it should display all. Right? If string is empty, it should display all. If it is not empty, it should display only the filtered. That means here you can see initially, so here we implemented that filtered data. Filtered data is displaying all the data. And here I'm using, what is it? Suppose HTML, only HTML will come. Here I am using, so projects, only projects will come. So we are implementing search. And actually to implement search, we have used this use search hook. In that hook, we are passing only two details. One str, the search string, another one data. What hook will do? It will collect your data. It will collect your search string. It will verify is the data is present inside your string and it will display only the details. It will display only the details. That means filtered data is returned and it contains only the details that is matching. You entered CSS, only CSS will. Right? This is how we create custom hooks. I just created for search, sorting, filtering. So many actions like I told pagination. For every purpose, we create hooks and use them. And nobody can ask like, do you know use search hook? How do we know what you created? That is all custom hooks. You tell me the purpose, I will build a hook for that. You don't ask me some rare names that you know for your project what you built. Outside world doesn't know about them. You just tell the reason, right? That means if anyone asks, can you, do you know about searching hooks, filtering hooks? There are no such hooks. We need to build sorting hooks. We don't have such hooks. We have to build. Actually, there is online, there is a library. Tomorrow I will, because it is not very accurate, but many people take help of that library. They provide more than 300, 400 built-in hooks, means custom hooks. They built 300, 400 hooks for React developers. They say that you want this particular functionality, we already designed, just copy paste, right? But a developer should able to build the hooks like that. There is some websites are there, so those websites have readily built such hooks. You can use them freely, you can use, but they are not trusted sources. Sometimes they may misbehave, they may not work. You need to design everything your own. That's the best one, right? This is one example of search hook. This is a custom hook for searching. We have done two things. What is it? In hooks, we have use search.jsx. This is use search.jsx. Another one, in components, we have search demo.jsx. This is search demo. Here we are having some data and we are using hooks. If you know this, you can implement in your project now. The same we will implement in some project. But first we learn the custom hook, then we will use built-in hooks. Right? In tomorrow session, we'll do that. Right? In tomorrow session, we will learn all the built-in hooks now, one by one. After that, we will put them in project. Right? First, we'll learn about built-in hooks, others, what they have. Right? Tomorrow we'll continue.